Sir David Amess's family have visited the church where he was killed to read some of the many tributes left in his memory. His widow Julia was comforted as she looked over the flowers and letters of condolence that still surround Belfast Methodist Church in Leigh-on-Sea. They said their hearts are shattered, but have called for people to set aside hatred and work towards togetherness. And at Westminster this afternoon, MPs did come together to remember their colleague. Among the tributes, the Prime Minister announced Southend will become a city, fulfilling one of Sir David's long-standing wishes. We'll be there in a moment, but first, our political correspondent Simon Harris on a day when politics was put aside.
It can't have been easy, but Julia Amess found the strength today to visit the church where her husband died. Sir David's widow was supported by other family members as they read the messages and looked at the flowers left outside Belfast Methodist Church in Leigh-on-Sea. Not far away, there was another tribute to the Southend MP in the form of a newly painted mural at a skate park he opened.
I don't think it matters, from kind of what background you are or what you believe politically. I think this is still someone who was so dedicated to doing work for his local community.
For the first time since the awful events of Friday afternoon, MPs were back from their constituencies to remember a colleague who spent 38 years at Westminster.
He really took me under his wing and was a huge source of support for me. And to be honest, nobody was prouder than him when I went on to be re-elected twice. So, I'm bereft. I really am bereft.
I'll be honest with you, Simon. You don't make many true friends in that place. You make a lot of friends and acquaintances, but there are very few people that you really count as true friends. He was absolutely one of them, and he was from day one.
The death of Sir David Amess has left many MPs and their staff worried about their own safety. But for a few hours today, those concerns were put aside.
I'm sorry the House is returning in such tragic circumstances.
In the Commons, MPs observed a minute's silence before the Prime Minister began the tributes with an announcement Sir David longed to hear.
I am happy to announce that Her Majesty has agreed that Southend will be accorded the city status it so clearly deserves.
Sir David was one of the most dedicated, but also the most affable of MPs. He looked beyond party differences to work with so many of us on a multitude of issues of common concern, and that's why there are tears on all sides of the House this afternoon.
But there was anger too at online abuse and the internet giants behind social media platforms.
The mood I'm in, Mr. Speaker, I confess I'd like to drag Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook and Jack Dorsey of Twitter to the bar of the House, if necessary kicking and screaming, so they can look us all in the eye and account for their actions, or rather their inactions, which make them even richer than they already are.
3 days after his senseless murder, Sir David Amess has left a proud legacy. His town is to become a city.
Just a few moments ago, a memorial service to celebrate the life of Sir David started at St Margaret's Church beside Westminster Abbey. St Margaret's is often referred to as the parish church of the House of Commons. The special service of prayer and remembrance for Sir David is only open to MPs and peers. Our correspondent Simon Harris is close by outside now. Simon, a real display of coming together.
Yes, Duncan, above all, this was about remembering Sir David Amess, the man, as well as the politician. A chance for his parliamentary colleagues to put on record some of the sentiments we've been hearing since Friday, namely that he was, first and foremost, a constituency MP who championed Southend and the people of Southend West. There were humorous anecdotes, a story about how on a visit to the Vatican he was holding a boiled sweet in his hand, which somehow the Pope ended up blessing. His politics divided opinion, but he was still able to be good friends with MPs from other parties who may well have disliked some of his values. I mentioned that his legacy in part will be Southend's new city status, but there may be others. It's likely that the way MPs operate in their constituencies will have to change. There's a review of security measures underway. And it seems possible that some at Westminster will feel that the killing of another MP will prompt them to question whether they want to continue because public life has become so toxic. I have to say, Duncan, that even as that church service began, outside there was a very noisy protest this evening by animal rights activists.
OK, Simon, thank you. 5 days after Sir David Amess was stabbed to death, a book of condolence has been opened in his memory in Southend. This afternoon, the flowers and tributes left at the Belfairs Methodist Church, where he was killed, are being moved to his constituency office. Meanwhile, a 25-year-old man is still being questioned at a London police station. Our political correspondent Simon Harris reports.
The carpet of flowers outside Belfairs Methodist Church was rolled up today, but even as they were being moved to Sir David Amess's constituency office, more tributes arrived. People here determined to pay their respects.
You couldn't wish to meet a better man. He was absolutely one. Too good for this world, that's all I can say.
Chris and Jane Rose had more reason than most to thank their MP. When Chris lost his arm in an accident at work, Sir David helped him get compensation.
The man could not do enough for you. He was the people's champion.
He was the people's champion.
He's going to be sorely missed.
Yes.
I just can't believe he's gone. He's more like a friend. He really is like a friend.
And he remembered everybody.
Sir David's long-held wish to see Southend upgrade to city status was honoured by Boris Johnson yesterday. The announcement from the Prime Minister means Southend-on-Sea Borough Council will now have to change its name, although the precise timetable for the transition from town to city is still unclear. The priority at the Civic Centre today was to open a book of condolence.
Everybody's got a story about Sir David that they want to tell, and hopefully, being able to do that and to share those, hopefully that's part of the grieving process that will help people.
The church hall where Sir David was stabbed is no longer a crime scene, but it's likely to be the end of the month at least before church services are held here again.
Churches of any denomination are like people's second homes. They're spiritual homes. And so people are just coming to terms with this terrible event that's happened in their home.
The flowers, candles and balloons which were moved from the Methodist Church are now neatly laid in front of the local Conservative Party headquarters. At their request, Sir David's family will keep the cards and messages. Simon Harris, ITV News, Southend.
Well, MPs' safety in their constituencies has very much been in the spotlight ever since Sir David Amess was killed last week. Bel Ribeiro-Addy, the MP for Streatham, is far from alone in the Commons in having received abuse from members of the public, but she's witnessed far worse in her previous role working for Diane Abbott, who gets more abuse than any other MP. Our political correspondent Simon Harris reports.
Like most Londoners, Bel Ribeiro-Addy uses public transport to get around. Even wearing a mask, the MP for Streatham gets recognised, usually by passengers who just want to say hello. She tries not to let her guard down.
I suppose if I'm not safe on the bus, then I'm not safe anywhere. So I'm happy getting on the bus. I am just a bit more cautious. I'm a bit more alert as to what's going on around me, definitely.
Bel Ribeiro-Addy has experienced abuse from members of the public, both in her current job and her last one.
I used to work for Diane Abbott, who's the most abused member of Parliament. I used to see what came into her inbox. I used to see how people would treat her when we were outside, and that is enough to scare you.
2 days ago, Michael Gove was targeted by activists opposed to vaccine passports as he walked along a street in Westminster. On this occasion, the police reacted swiftly to ensure the Housing Secretary came to no harm. Sir David Amess was killed during a constituency surgery in Leigh-on-Sea. Details of the meeting had been shared on Twitter.
I certainly think MPs should refrain from advertising their whereabouts in advance on social media. The community is different. Advertise it in the traditional way, put leaflets through doors. OK, it's hard work, but at the end of the day, I like the old traditional way of campaigning, and so did David.
With MP security under review, one idea floated in the wake of the attack on Sir David is for police officers to be on duty at constituency surgeries. Bel Ribeiro-Addy isn't keen.
Some constituents will come to me because they have problems with different forms of the state, be it through their, the DWP or the local council or immigration, for example. To hear that there will be police outside our surgeries would actually put them off coming.
But some changes in the way MPs operate in their constituencies seem likely.
Politician safety is one of the topics on tonight's Late Debate. Let's speak to Simon, who's been interviewing the Mayor of London. Hi, Simon. What did Sadiq Khan have to say?
Well, Duncan, here at Westminster, they're still trying to come to terms with the death of Sir David Amess. We're joined tonight by two London MPs, Siobhan McDonough and Felicity Buchan, as well as Sian Berry from the Green Party, here to hear what they think should be done to keep our elected representatives safe. And London's Mayor gives us his insight into being a high-profile public figure who needs police protection.
You can't decide to go to the corner shop because you've got to let the officers know in advance they're going to accompany you to the corner shop. I can't decide to go and see my mum, the spur of the moment, because the police need to be there in advance to make sure it's safe and all the rest of it. It's not why I came into politics, to receive police security.
We'll also talk to the Mayor about why it's right to charge tens of thousands of Londoners to drive on their local streets as the ULEZ expands next week, and we'll be asking whether Plan B is needed sooner rather than later to stop the alarming rise in COVID infections. That's the Late Debate here on ITV after news at 10.
We'll be watching. Thank you, Simon.